Trump promised he was going to drain the swamp. We thought we were going to see everything in these files as soon as Donald Trump ascended to the White House. But actually in the best part of the year that's followed, he's made endless attempts to stop us seeing what's in these files. The latest tranche were released last night. More than 2,000 documents and photographs, but heavily redacted. And it's been fallen upon Simon Marks, LBC's Washington correspondent, to do his best to read between the very thick black lines. Good morning to you, Simon.
Morning to you, Matthew.
It seems like a fairly thankless task, but what have you managed to unearth thus far, Simon?
Well, I actually think it's an easier task than it might appear, because beneath those black lines, it is absolutely apparent lies fresh evidence that the White House is engaged in an effort to conceal information from the American public, not put it into the public domain, unless, of course, it's information that proves a little bit embarrassing to former President Bill Clinton or some of Jeffrey Epstein's other associates, but definitely not to President Donald Trump. I mean, this is exactly, I have to say, what I thought it was going to be, which was a very limited release, about 100,000 documents in total, but they've got a lot more than that. And anything of interest, anything of possible interest, has either been held back or has been redacted to the point where, I mean, it's a joke. I mean, if you go to the LBC website, you can actually see one of these pages, a list of masseuses that evidently is 36 or 37 lines long, and the entire document is blacked out. There's a 119-page set of documents from a grand jury hearing, one of those sort of pre-trial investigative hearings in the United States that determines whether criminal charges are eventually going to be brought against someone or not. 119 pages, every single page of it completely and fully redacted. There are hardly any references, you will be stunned to discover, in the released documents that were put out late last night by the White House.
How's he getting away with it? He said that he was going to give full disclosure. He's got like the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene snapping at him. Who else was I looking at? Thomas Massey, the Kentucky Republican, also sniping at him. How's he getting away with it?
Well, the first point to underscore, Matthew, is that this is a president who has complete and utter disdain for Congress and pretty much disdain for the courts. I mean, he is now, one can argue, breaking a law that he himself signed. Remember a few weeks ago when the House and the Senate voted to force the administration to release every file in their possession, and he signed that into law? Well, he now hasn't implemented that law, so you're definitely going to see legal efforts to try and hold him accountable. The White House says they're holding information back, not, of course, to protect the president, but to protect victims and ongoing investigations. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who, let me remind you, back in February claimed that the Epstein files were on her desk awaiting her review and would then be released to the public. Then in July, we were told by the Department of Justice there was no Epstein client list to release, so there wouldn't be anything coming out. That's what led the House and the Senate to take the action that they took, forcing the release. And of course, I mean, Democrats would like to see many of these documents released because they know that there is potentially incriminating information in there about Donald Trump. Republicans from Donald Trump's Make America Great Again movement, who are in many cases conspiracy theorists, well, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist on this occasion to sense that there is a White House cover-up taking place, and that whatever is in those files that they are holding back, certainly there will be information that you don't want to release in the public domain because you do want to protect victims. Maybe there is suddenly this huge amount of new information that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, claims that the sanctity of investigations require information to be redacted. But also, let's be honest, it's pretty possible that those documents contain more evidence relating to the president's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And that stuff, they are going to hold back until the last possible minute that a court, and probably the Supreme Court, says, no, you've got to put this stuff out there. And they're going to run the clock out.
Do you maybe I'm just too cynical for my own good, but I've got this sneaky feeling we're never going to see the full Epstein files, that perhaps it's too injurious to too many rich and powerful people. So I just wonder whether you have confidence that even if it goes to the Supreme Court, that we will eventually see everything in those files?
No, I think it's very hard to have confidence. I mean, I think it's very difficult to have confidence, and it's not just because it's about Donald Trump. It is, as you point out, about a whole host of other rich and very powerful figures. I mean, there's lots of images that they put out last night pertaining to Bill Clinton's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, and we should say that none of those documents and none of the stuff that we've seen in the files so far is incriminating. No. Doesn't imply any nefarious activities, just pictures of the two of them hanging out together, or Bill Clinton in a hot tub with a woman whose face is redacted. We've no idea who she is. So there's no suggestion in any of the pictures that were contained in these files that crimes were committed by these wealthy and powerful individuals. But what you can tell from what they put out last night is that the White House is determined to besmirch other people's reputations. There's pictures of Richard Branson in there. There's a picture of Prince Andrew in there, various other figures. But they're definitely not as interested in releasing anything that's in there about Donald Trump. And we know there's stuff that's in there because, for example, Jeffrey Epstein, according to the journalist and author Michael Wolff, Jeffrey Epstein showed him pictures that would be embarrassing, to say the least, for the White House if they were put out. So are we ever going to see them? I mean, if there's a change of administration in Washington at some point in our collective futures, maybe. If the courts force him to do it, possibly. But, so much of this stuff, Matthew, is really caught up in what happens in America next year, right? It's midterm elections next year, November the 3rd. The entire House of Representatives and 1/3 of the Senate up for grabs. And if Democrats take back control of those two chambers, they're going to be in a position to begin impeachment proceedings and tie the president up in complete knots for the last 2 years of his presidency. And this could absolutely serve.
That's you assuming, Simon, he's going to go at the end of his presidency.